Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about something that I personally think is really important for the health of Brawl Stars, and it's also something that I've seen other people talk about, whether it's in like Reddit comments or my own comments or Twitter posts, and that is the topic of hard counters in Brawl Stars. Obviously, there's a lot of brawlers who can counter other brawlers. There's a lot of scenarios like this, like Crow gets countered by Pam because Pam can out-heal his poison, she can out-heal his burst. Her turret itself can tank like 3 of his ammo. Pam is just really good against Crow most times, and there's many other examples of brawlers countering other brawlers, but in most cases, the brawler who's being countered can actually win if they outscale or outplay or outsmart their opponent, right? But there are 1 or 2 cases where if you are playing this brawler and you fight a specific brawler, you cannot lose no matter what you do unless you turn your phone off. That is maybe the only way, but then the bot could even beat the enemy. And the main brawler I'm talking about in this video is Gale, and he has one problem in specific, which is his gadget. You all know it, you all probably hate it unless you use it. The Twister gadget. That gadget can counter so many brawlers in the game. I'm actually going to go through who it can counter. With one push of a button, Gale can counter Bull, El Primo, Rosa, Daryl, Jackie, maybe even BB. Gale's entire kit counters Frank, Edgar, Mortis, Buzz, and Fang. That is a lot of brawlers. And the brawlers that I just mentioned right there are brawlers who sometimes physically cannot hit Gale if he presses that one button to activate that gadget. Because with one push of a button, Gale creates this wall of wind that lasts like 10 to 15 seconds, and if your enemy walks into it, they just get bounced right back. And if they want to try to get to you, they have to walk all the way around it to get to you. But as Gale, you can just walk right back through it because only you and your team can walk through it and your enemies can't. It doesn't do any damage, but it completely stops them from even hitting you as Gale. You are borderline invincible, especially against like Mortis, Edgar, and anybody who really needs to get up close to you. You are invincible. You cannot get hit. And there have been cases in Brawl Stars like Surge where he got an entire rework, Penny got an entire rework, and other gadgets in the game have gotten reworks because they've been fundamentally broken. And I'm surprised that this one is still how it is in the game, because this one is probably the most fundamentally broken in the game, because with one push of a button, with one gadget, one ability that you unlock in the brawler later on, you can counter like 20 brawlers in the game. And the brawlers that I mentioned aren't even all the brawlers that can get stumped out by that gadget. Like that gadget can stop a lot of other brawlers from approaching, but the brawlers that I mentioned before are the ones who get countered the most. Like I think even Sam could be on that list of getting countered by it, because if you throw the knuckle busters, Gale can just put a wall on it basically 15 seconds, and then once it goes away, if he really wants to, he can just put another one down. So you can counter these brawlers for like almost a minute if you play it right. Plus you have Gale's long range, hard to dodge attacks, slowing star power, or stunning star power. And once your gadget ends, maybe you don't have any more left, or you even have 2 left, either way, you're probably gonna have Gale's super. So once they can finally get up to you, assuming they didn't die already, you can push them away. Gale's absurd. I've seen a good amount of people talking about Gale, but I feel like it's not enough. Probably because most people play 3v3s where it's not as big of a deal. But as someone who mains solo modes, when I am playing one of like 20 brawlers in this game who gets countered by Gale and I'm fighting a Gale, the chances of winning is probably 1 in like 300. And that 1% chance is if the enemy turns their phone off, or the extremely rare chance that they don't have that gadget. I feel like most Gale players by now don't play Gale until they have that gadget. I just feel like that's how it is. I feel like that's how it should be, because that gadget hardcore carries them. Now, there's ways that they could fix this. They could either severely lower the duration of it, or they could lower the amount of times they're even able to get bounced up by it, because right now it lasts 10 to 15 seconds and you can bounce on it as many times as you want in those 10 to 15 seconds. Or they can maybe even make Gale able to be bounced by it. I don't know how that would work though, because you spawn it on you. That's just something I'm throwing out there. But I don't know, let's say you bounce on it twice and then you can go through it again. Or maybe it could bounce you in a random direction, so then at least you're not bounced away from it. You could be bounced to Gale. I don't know. There's just like no real way to change that gadget besides lowering the duration, and I can't think of anything else. And I want to go back in time a little bit and talk about Surge's gadget, the teleport. Surge got reworked because of that gadget. That gadget alone is why he got reworked. And it seems like a similar case should be here right now with Gale, because right now Gale has 4 forms of crowd control. He has his super to push people back, which he can get very easily. He has the gadget, which lasts very long. You can get that and keep it for a very long time, as long as you need it. He has a slowing star power, and then he also has a stunning star power. So Gale has 4 different types of crowd control while most brawlers have 1 or 0. Some maybe have 2, but I think most have 1 or 0. Gale has 4 options, and you can only use 3 at once, but that's still more than everybody else in the game. But not only does Gale have 4 options of crowd control, but I think that they're the 4 best options of crowd control. A stun, always the best. A mini sprout super as a gadget is also very good. That is extremely good. And the best push in the entire game as a super is also extremely good. Even without the Twister gadget, Gale can deal with tanks and assassins really easily. But with the Twister, it makes being a tanker and assassin against him physically impossible to win. Side note real quick, something that I want to mention is Eve. Eve is another brawler that actually hard counters Mortis and Edgar and stuff if she has water. That's the thing about Eve. She at least needs water. She at least needs to be positioned in that spot, and she also has a jump to get away. But the main thing I'm talking about here is if she doesn't have water, then she can't hard counter people, so at least she's map specific. But either way, I think that she should have some sort of timer or limitation on how long she can float on water. But that's besides the point. She at least needs to be positioned correctly. But Gale, no matter where he is, he can save himself with that Twister. And I know it doesn't work against every single brawler in the game, but when it works, it makes it literally unfair. There's not many other brawlers in this game, if any, that can completely shut out other brawlers. In I think 95% of cases in Brawl Stars, if you're playing better, if you're just literally outplaying your opponent, if you are clapping their cheeks, you're gonna win, right? And Gale is the one instance where if you're fighting him and you have the wrong pick, it's game over. You lost at the brawler selection. If Gale's main attack was different, if it wasn't so long range, if it wasn't so wide, if it didn't do so much damage, then this might be a different story. Because if Gale was also a short range brawler, then it would just be completely different. The Twister wouldn't be a huge deal. But since Gale has all of this versatility with his main attack and with his super and with the tornado, that's why it's a problem in my opinion. I wish more people were talking about this, but I know not many people are strictly like solo mode mains. I strictly play like showdown and duels and whatever other solo mode I can play. I'm more so here for your opinion and to just voice my opinion on why I think that this gadget is actually an issue, because anytime I pick a certain brawler and I run into Gale, I just get bored. It's not fun to be playing the game where you have no chance. Every time that happens, I'm like, can I just go to the next match? Like, there's no reason for me to keep playing right now in this match because I've already lost because I selected this brawler and because I happen to run into this brawler that makes it physically impossible for me to win. Yeah, literally the only reason I'm making this video is just to voice my opinion on what I think about that, and I want to hear what you guys think about it. I'm not trying to start some sort of like hate mob, but man, if my voice can reach something where maybe Gale can get some sort of change, maybe his Twister can get removed and maybe it can get reworked. I'm not exactly calling for an entire Gale rework. I'm just calling for maybe a Twister nerf or a Twister removal and replace it with something more unique or something less game breaking, something less countering, because Crow's slow got nerfed. It got like cut in half almost, but Gale's Twister has barely been touched. And it seems as time goes on, Gale players are getting like more confident because they're starting to realize more and more that like if you fight this guy, you can't lose. Like when I play Gale and I'm fighting somebody who I know can't beat me, I literally just like run at them and I just troll them because they know and I know that they're not winning this fight. Like I did it in my last video. Like there was an Edgar and I was just like looking at him, watching him try to figure out how to get to me. It didn't work. He didn't even try to approach me after jumping because he knew that I would use a Twister. I think he was trying to bait it out, but you're gonna have to bait for like a minute to actually try to get all 3 Twisters out in like a duels match or something like that. And Brawl Stars is a game that pushes competitive aspects a lot. And I think in a competitive game, there should not be an option to completely destroy your enemy without a chance for them to even win, like a 0%, maybe 1% chance for them to win in that matchup. I don't think that that should exist in any game. And in most games, it doesn't exist. But after Gale and Eve came out, it now exists. Like it didn't really exist before then. I know that like Mortis versus Bull or Shelly is really, really bad. But my say in that is at least you can hurt them. Either way, that's going to do it. If you guys like the video, if you agree with me or whatever, then drop a like in the video. If you disagree with me, then you can dislike it. That's okay with me. And I know that this video is really different compared to what I usually make, but dude, I just wanted to rant about Gale. I didn't even play Brawl Stars yet today, but I posted a tweet with a picture of Gale and I just said no, and I saw a lot of people talking about Gale. It just made me in the mood to talk about Gale and complain about it. Maybe actually get some sort of change in the next update. I doubt anything I say is actually going to change anything. I'm just hopeful. Like the next Brawl Talk should be in a few weeks. I think maybe like 3-4 weeks, maybe not a few. This is my call to say, hey, I'm hopeful that maybe Gale will be less of a nuisance in the future. Maybe he'll be less of a complete hard counter to like half of the characters in the entire game. But yeah, I'll stop rambling. With all that being said, I'll see you later and have a good night, guys.